You're listening to Thunder Quack Podcast Network.
Okay, our intro music did not work tonight. I moved the setup around a little bit because it's just me and Crystal in the Thunderquack studio this evening. But here we are. This is our second live stream. Welcome to the Thunderquack Podcast Quarantine Zone. I am, of course, your host, Michael Cohen, and joining me tonight, because we're doing these almost nightly, is my wife, Crystal.
Hello.
We're gonna talk about what it's been like to be quarantined. We're not technically quarantined. I mean, we can leave the house whenever we want. But to be self-isolating with a 3.5-year-old and a 7-month-old.
Yeah. The 7-month-old thinks there's nothing better.
Yeah.
But
the 3.5-year-old's a bit of a challenge. Okay, first of all, for people who don't know you, because I mean, like, people know you because I talk about you, but
fair story.
Background, what do you do? Explain what you do. Tell people what you do for a living.
My living. Okay. I am a board certified behavior analyst, which is just a fancy way of saying I play with children a lot. I primarily work with kids with autism and developmental disabilities, and implement programs and write program plans. So that's my job. That's what I do. And the last few days, as we've heard from our federal government to do more social distancing and social isolating, and certain areas of the country have gone into... I don't know what Mike's trying to tell me.
Get closer to the microphone.
Okay, cool. This is super awkward because it's real close now.
Yeah, it's a microphone. That's how they work.
Oh, okay. We've had to, as a company, we've had to scramble to figure out how we're going to do that, and basically not have 2- and 3-year-olds sneezing in our faces all day. So, yeah, that's been my week and my job.
Yeah. Is it okay? Sherston, are we both quiet, or is it just Crystal that was quiet? Because she was afraid of the microphone for a second there.
I'm not afraid of it. It's just weird because it's all I can see.
Yeah, that's how it works. We're talking to people on the internet. So you are, I think, better equipped to deal with entertaining kids on a daily basis than I am. But I don't know. Our kids are pretty. Car is pretty easy to keep entertained. There's not a lack of things for her to do. If anything, there's probably too many things for her to do, and she's kind of going back and forth and can't focus on anything for particularly long. What has been the hardest part of the last since when? I guess technically really since Sunday, right? So 5 days now.
Yeah, I guess 5 days. Well, the unknown of it all is always difficult. Transition and change. It wasn't the routine we planned, and I think Cara being aware of that is also challenging, that she's not going to her spring break camps and not doing the things she expected to do. It can be difficult. And then being able to to work when there's kids in the house, because Michael and I are both having to work right now, and we're trying to trade off, but they know we're here. And so yesterday, even though I had the door closed and locked while I was in a meeting, Cara took her fingernail and managed to unlock the door and open it. Have to say I'm a little impressed. However, challenging when I'm in a meeting or trying to do something else.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that kid is way more clever than you would expect. And that's not necessarily bragging. I guess it's bragging a little bit, but when it's just the two of us here. But she is sometimes obnoxiously on the ball, and I don't know how she managed to if you locked that door.
Well, because she came over and banged on it and went, "Mommy."
Yeah.
So I locked it like a good mother does.
Yeah.
Feel like a bit of a jerk with that. But she managed to probably watch it turn and then figure out how to turn it back. I don't know. But yeah, she did that all on her own.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. For me, it's just been, I guess also the work thing, just trying to get stuff done. I also am primarily responsible for keeping the house clean and fed. I think those are the two things.
Yeah.
And you.
And I'm the entertainment.
And you generally wrangle the two of them more than I do, and then do the laundry. Which is a constant thing when you have two kids.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the breakdown of things. I feel like you're more on top of the laundry than you usually are, because we're home. So the laundry's run every day, which is
always runs every day.
That's not true.
Sometimes it's just diapers or towels, but it does run every day. Oh, that was Pepper. Okay. Our cat's decided to join us.
Yeah, Pepper, we've got the door to the office open so Pepper can just kind of come and go, and he has no idea what is happening right now. And he's been sleeping all day, so he is just full of energy and is going to get into trouble in a second here. He's just figuring out what he wants to do wrong in order to aggravate me.
Do people know about Pepper?
Yeah, people know that Pepper is our cat. You just said the cat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. People who listen to Thunderquack know who Pepper is. Okay. Amanda talks about him, not a lot, but certainly frequently enough, because she doesn't like him. So, but who does? No one likes you, Pepper. I don't like you very much, but I love you because you're a cat. But so keeping the house clean has been, it's always difficult. It's like I usually do a thorough clean and tidy every Sunday, and I usually do that when you guys leave the house. You leave
because I take the kids to dance, and and then Mike.
Don't get distracted by him.
You
need to focus when you're the one who's talking.
Okay.
You need to keep going.
Okay.
You can't stop.
Okay.
You can't drop out in the middle of the sentence.
Cool.
I'll deal with
That's
him.
Gonna be a problem. So
you take them to dance.
I take them to dance, and then we'll go get Starbucks or go for lunch or see somebody, and then that's when Mike gets to do the thorough clean and lift everything off the ground and vacuum and
catch up on podcasts.
Yeah. Get stuff posted, do whatever he needs to do around the house, and then
but that's obviously not happening right now because dance class is canceled. And even before it was canceled, we decided not to take her.
They did send an email on, I believe, the Friday, and her dance class is on the Sunday, saying anybody with young babies or like grandparents to maybe not come, and that they would be doing more cleanings throughout the day, which on Sunday there's always somebody cleaning anyways, but we opted not to go.
We decided to keep everybody home. Although I did go out and go grocery shopping, but I'm trying to do like more consistent cleaning instead of doing it all at once. Because what ends up happening around here is I'll clean on the Sunday, and then by the next Sunday, the house looks like a tornado hit it. Because there's a 3-year-old, there's no avoiding it. But
Yeah, I mean, the toys and stuff get tidied up. Everything sort of has its place.
Yeah. But everybody's home all the time right now, and normally we're not. Normally this house is pretty empty. I would say right now, like, or at least since you went back to work, it's empty about, I don't know, half of the time. Because we're either out at dance or swimming lessons or cars at preschool, or we're at work and they're with your parents. But right now everybody's just here making a mess all the time. So the cleaning has to be more constant. It has to be kind of on a daily basis. Like this afternoon, I just decided, like, okay, everybody stop what you're doing. We have to clean up. Because if we don't, it's just mess on top of mess on top of mess.
Yeah.
And I think that's a unique challenge to everybody just being in the house all the time.
And I think the other challenge has definitely been work, because normally when you work and have meetings, I make sure we're out.
Yeah.
Or I make sure we're on our way out or whatever, so that you don't get interrupted. And then I normally leave the house to work and go into the office to do any of my remote work. So it's definitely different. I haven't worked from the house basically since we've had children.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess it is kind of the first time that you've had to do a significant amount. I mean, like the timing of all of this, I don't think that there's a good time for a global pandemic, but the timing of this has not been ideal for us, because this essentially happened. The last month and a half has been a little bit crazy. I went on part-time parental leave, so working 70% of the time that I normally work, meaning that I'm home for most of the week. I was going into the office twice a week, and then the company that I work for had a round of layoffs and major restructuring, including sort of our local office leader leaving the company. So that was chaotic for me. And that happened the Friday of the week that I started parental leave. And that was like the first week that I wasn't in the office on a Friday. And that happened. So that kind of threw things into the air, and it felt like just as we were starting to settle into that, all of this starts happening. And it, the self-isolation stuff kind of all started coming up. And so now, just as we were getting our rhythm of basically like the first half of the week versus the latter half of the week, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday versus Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and who's got the responsibilities for the kids. This happens, and now we're both responsible all of the time, but we also both have to work, and there's nowhere there's nobody to offload the kids to. And I think that that's probably the number one thing that's really difficult is just like there's really not any break.
Yeah, because we usually, and purposefully, we usually schedule Cara for something in the morning so that she gets some of her energy out. We get a bit of a moment away from her and a moment alone with Cassie. And then we also are very fortunate to have family nearby that's able to help us with them. And at times take them for us or be here to sort of play with them and keep them entertained while we get a few things done.
Yeah. But that's obviously a lot more difficult right now. I mean, primarily you're talking about your parents, and your stepdad is older.
He's 74.
Yeah.
He'll be 75 this November.
And he's healthy. I mean, like Danny's a pretty healthy 74-year-old. Sort of all things considered, right?
All things considered.
He keeps up with Kara a lot of the time. They go swimming at the swimming pool, and he goes in with her and plays around with her and goofs off. So it's not like we're worried like, oh, he's frail or anything like that.
No, definitely not.
But obviously, this virus is kind of almost targeting people over 60. Or at least that's how it kind of presents, because people, certainly around our age, in a lot of cases, might even be asymptomatic, not even know that they're carrying it, and they're just kind of walking around doing their daily thing. Maybe they feel a little bit tired. Maybe they've got a scratchy throat. Hi, Pepper. But obviously, if Danny were to get the virus, if he were to get COVID-19, then there could be all sorts of complications for him. So it's one of these things of like, so far everybody in this house seems to be healthy. I left the house today, and I mean, you left yesterday to go to the doctor, right?
Yeah, we left yesterday. Cassie needed her.
She needed her flu booster, of all things. We don't want her getting the regular flu right now, on top of everything else. And then I had to go out today for a blood test. So, both of us were kind of in the last places you want to be during a health crisis. But
I have to say, our doctor, our family doctor, was really great about it. And the nurse there called us the day before, told us what was going on, how they were handling everything. So we were actually the first patients in. Everything had been cleaned the night before. They left the door open. Hand sanitizer was right there. Like, it was great. They handled it really, really well in terms of that. Mm-hmm. And they are doing most of their appointments remote. It's something that they set up in January, that they could do some appointments remote. It wasn't meant to be most of their appointments. Right now, it is most of their appointments. And just the things that people absolutely have to come in for.
I'll tell you my experience at the blood lab today was not as comforting as what you just described, where you walked in and you're like, oh, it seems like everybody's kind of got this handled. They've got this sorted out. They're taking care of themselves and the patients. I walked in. I'm not going to say the specific lab that I went to, but I walked in and it was empty, ghost town. There was one other person. There was one person in line and one person sitting in a chair. And I stand and I wait or whatever, and I get up to the like there's like a little reception desks. They're all kind of separated with dividers, and the person on the other side of the desk is wearing like obviously a surgical mask, but then also one of those like plastic face shields that's like the full face shield that's just like a sheet of plastic over their face, like sort of around their head.
You did not tell me this earlier.
No, I didn't. And then they're wearing they're already in scrubs because that's what they would wear normally anyways. But then they've got the whole the surgical
hazmat suit on?
No, not hazmat, but just like a surgical like the disposable layer that they can put on top of it that you just like tear off. Yeah, and then obviously rubber gloves. It was like, oh, okay. So this is where we're at here, in this environment. And so then, having to wait 15 minutes, for them to call your name and then go back up and then go around to the chair and sit in the chair and wait for another 5-6 minutes. Normally 15 minutes, not that big of a deal to me. It's like I'll just pull up my phone and I'll do my thing. But I don't really want to pull my phone out because I'd been touching doors and like I didn't want to like contaminate
Did they
my
not
phone. And
have
they had
sanitize?
hand sanitizer, but if you're in the middle of doing stuff, right? Like you don't, I don't know. It just didn't seem like a wise idea. So I just sat there and waited, which allows you to just sort of observe everything around you and think about it and worry about it. And so it was not a great experience. And then once the blood was taken, I was like, hey, see you later. I'm out of here. Grabbed hand sanitizer on my way out. I basically like squirted the hand sanitizer into one hand and then went and opened the door with the other hand. And then once I was out the door, cleaned my hands so that it was like, okay, now that I'm out of here, like let's clean these hands. And then I could use my phone once I was in the car. But yeah, man, being out in the world was not it was not a relaxing experience. Our numbers here in Vancouver are very steadily climbing, and yet a lot of people in this city are just kind of going about their daily life as if nothing is different. And I understand. I had to go out today. You had to go out yesterday. Like people have to go out and do stuff. There are sort of like essential things that people have to take care of, and we're not on lockdown. And it's certainly not as bad as it is in some other places. It's not as bad as it is in the Seattle area or in Los Angeles or San Francisco, or New York. But we want to kind of stop it from getting that bad all at once, right? And it just doesn't really feel like people are taking that to heart. But the whole point of all of that was to say, like, you know, we've been out, we've had to do stuff. And so now it's like, I don't know that I necessarily want to, even though like we're all feeling good right now, we're all healthy right now. Your parents are healthy right now. Because we've been out and about, it's like, okay, well now we got to kind of at least watch it for the next 10 days before we can say with any kind of confidence, like, okay, I think we're good. So, cause I don't want to find out that we've got it and then they were in our house or we dropped the kids off with them. Cause there's just, with kids, there's zero level of protection.
Right. And that's exactly it with our, like, even with my work, that's why we had to pull staff before we have a lockdown, because there is no protection. They sneeze in your face. I've been vomited on multiple times in my work. It's not fun.
Yeah. They're kids. I mean, like, kids can't control that stuff, and they want contact, and
it's great.
They crave it, and it's normally fine. I mean, like, I love goofing around with the girls and horsing around with them, but right now it's a liability. So in order to limit the amount of damage that can be done by their affection, we have to just keep everybody separated. I think that's why you're seeing schools take it so seriously, because kids, it's really difficult to get across them, not even just like a toddler like Cara. Obviously Cassie has no idea what's going on. She's just like, cool, we're on vacation.
Mommy and Daddy are here. Best day ever.
Yeah, she's very happy right now. She refuses to sleep. I'm surprised that she's sleeping right now, but
she's usually a rock star sleeper, but the last like 5 days I
think just because of the chaos and the anxiety around the house, she's just kind of picking up on that and doesn't know how to process it because she's 7 months old. But I was gonna say, like, I think even for teenagers, again, when I was out today, I saw a lot of kids, and they're just kind of out, and they're acting like summer vacation has started already. And yeah, fair enough. You guys are probably fine, right? Like these kids are probably, even if they get it, they're going to be sick for 5 or 6 days. And then, I mean, once they've been sick, then they've got, and they come through the other side, they're going to have the antibodies, and then they're protected, right? But like, they're also, like, you're going out, you're interacting with other people, and then you're bringing it home to others, and that's how it spreads. So it's I don't know. It's just frustrating because it's like this is always the case with teenagers. They're smart enough to know better, but they're too stupid to know any better. Like it's the catch-22, and
Their
we were
brains
all
are not
there.
fully developed yet.
Yeah,
You really need to read How Children Succeed.
I'm sure I do, but I also really need to finish all of the Star Wars books that I've got on backlog on Audible. So, I haven't even started The Rise of Skywalker yet.
Priorities are different.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. It's let's steer away from the negative and just close this out with what's been the positive. What's the positive takeaway from the last 5 or 6 days?
I mean, kids are resilient. They just have been able to go with it. We've been able to have a fair bit of family time and fun at home. Yeah, what about for you?
We thankfully we just bought Mario Party the prior weekend, right?
Right.
Like Cara and I just went out and grabbed that.
On my recommendation.
Yeah, and I grabbed a bunch of D&D stuff, and we actually like kind of stocked up and got a bunch more of it when we decided we were going into quarantine, into self-isolation. So I've got all of this D&D stuff. We've got Mario Party. Animal Crossing is officially out. It's after 9 p.m. Pacific, so that's after midnight Eastern time. So if anybody's watching on Eastern time right now,
go play Animal Crossing.
Who's in here right now? I know Kirsten and Jason are both in.
Okay, what are your lives like? Can you chime in?
No, we don't have time for that.
Oh, I want to know. I want to know about them though.
But yeah, Jason asks when brains are fully developed. When are brains fully developed?
Around 24 to 25 years old.
Yeah, it's a lot later than I think a lot of people expect. And that's why, it's binge drinking when you're in college is not, it's not a good idea. Yeah. It's just not a good idea. But, yeah. So I mean, like we thankfully have a lot of games and stuff like that to keep us amused. I honestly, I just wish I didn't have to work. If I didn't have to work right now, then
if one of us was on full parental leave,
the stress would, I think, be reduced significantly. But because both of us are trying to balance keeping these kids taken care of first, entertained second, and then getting our work done, and it's kind of in that order. It's difficult and it's been stressful, but I don't know. I think we'll find a rhythm to it, and once
we do it, we'll change again.
They settle into it. Yeah, like once the girls get used to it, it'll kind of it'll get a bit easier and a little bit less stressful. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, like taking breaks to play Mario Party or goof off, and we haven't started playing D&D yet, which that's mostly on me because I got to get the character sheets all set up. But yeah, I don't know. Like there's the thankfully we all like each other except for the cat. He is probably the one who's hurting the most out of all of this because he's used to having this house to himself for at least 3 hours a day.
Oh, I was in Mike's office today in this recording studio for my meeting, and I opened the blackout curtains. He was displeased.
Yeah, I never open these curtains. I never open the curtains in here.
Very mad at me.
Mostly because the street is right there, right?
Yeah.
So whatever I'm doing, I don't really want an audience to what I'm doing. But
there's a tree and a bush.
Yeah,
it's not like we're on a main road.
I don't know. I don't need random people walking by to see me slacking off when I'm supposed to be working.
That's the problem.
No, it also just gets really bright, and the monitors are across from it, so it creates glare. But I know, like, it's not as nearly as important for you to be able to see what you're doing on your screen, but it's very important for me. It's kind of my whole job. So, yeah, yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, we're gonna get through it. It's sounding now like I was thinking initially like, oh, we'll do this quarantine zone thing, and it'll be a couple of weeks. And it's a good way to like stay connected with friends and sort of set aside time to just kind of stop and have a little bit of socializing, even though we can't go out. And so I thought, okay, like a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks at the most. It's probably looking like it'll be at least another month of us being home, working from home, as of right now.
Yeah.
So
Well,
look forward to more episodes of this.
I guess so. Of us just checking in on parenting, I guess. Or maybe Mario Party. I don't know. We'll talk about something else.
If I can figure out how to get the TV running through the laptop, because I'm using OBS to stream to YouTube, which is what game streamers use to do like their video game streams and stuff. If I can figure out it with sufficient time, I will be able to figure out how to get the PlayStation or the Switch or any of those things hooked into this. If we're stuck here for long enough, I will absolutely figure it out, and we will live stream some Mario Party at some point.
Kara playing Mario Party?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, and you guys will get to hear me get really frustrated with her and say, like, if you're not going to actually play the mini games, I don't want to play with you. Which I say...
Push the ready button.
I say
Hold
it
your
at least twice
properly.
in a 10-round game. It just drives me nuts, but she's getting there, though. She's learning. She's figuring it out. Cool. Well...
Are these guys both in like social isolation, or are you guys in quarantine? What's your deal?
So they're on a delay. You're expecting them to like
I want
respond right
responses.
away, but they're not going to, because it's probably
I like
about
reciprocal questions.
it's probably about a minute. But Pepper has decided to join us more permanently here. He's just kind of hanging out on the daybed with us. He really doesn't know what's going on. So confused. He's so confused, but he'll take the pets. Jason is just now responding to the fact that I said that we're streaming with OBS, which was like at least a minute ago.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
they'll catch up, but it's okay. Now we just have to vamp until they catch up so that they can answer your question.
Okay.
But
Cool.
yeah, I mean, like, I think that I've been talking about this subject for the last probably 3 weeks. So the Thunderquack audience, especially if they all listen to Rebel Cells, because 3 weeks ago on Rebel Cells, I did like a whole thing on proper hand washing and that sort of thing. So
How you're supposed to like bite under your nails?
yeah, that one. That's the one. Crystal is referring to a meme that I sent that was it's the least helpful way to wash your hands if you're trying to avoid.
First you lick.
Transmute. You dry your hands on a child's head with a child's hair, which was the reason why I sent it to you, because I was like, well, that's perfect. We have
that.
Yeah.
Also, Kara 2 days ago ate something sticky and then licked her hands, and when we asked her to wash her hands, told us she had licked them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, she's like, no, I'm good. I licked them.
that was super.
Yeah, and it was like, cool. This is not. It's a good thing that we haven't left the house in 24 hours. Let's see. Sherston just said that her day was looking was dealing with an appraiser who was looking through her apartment because the owner may want to sell the building that she's in.
The building.
Yeah.
That's...
So that's obviously not great timing.
No.
That's obviously not great timing. And you know what? I would be willing to bet that Sherston's not alone that there's probably a lot of people who own property who don't really know what is going to happen over the course of the next couple of months and are thinking of ways to mitigate their losses and deal with that sort of thing. So, that's not fun. But you know what? I do think that both of our governments, I think both the United States and Canada are working to make sure that that people aren't too adversely affected. I mean, like, I don't think that there's any avoiding it, but hopefully there's some of these things in place, like the EI stuff that they're doing, so that even if people are off work, they still have enough money to survive.
So yeah, thanks, Pepper. I really wanted to be meowed at in bit. Our employment insurance is there's normally a 2-week waiting period and 55% of your income. But they are relaxing the waiting period right now, so there's no waiting period, and then they're going up to 80% of income, so that while people are home, they aren't stranded for being able to pay the bills and stuff. Jason just said, so he works in the U.S. government in distribution logistics. He says it's been an interesting week. I bet.
Shipping across the U.S. has reduced quite a bit in the last few days. Obviously. Yeah. Although, you know what, I think like it'll dip, but then I think that the more people are in isolation and like, so here it's completely voluntary. It's for whoever has the ability to do it. I think Cassie's giving us the
warning sign.
The warning, yeah. So we should probably wrap up.
2-minute warning.
Yeah, but in San Francisco, they're essentially under martial law right now. Like it hasn't been stated in that way. It's like, but there is effectively a curfew. You are only allowed out if you for like a medical reason, or if you have to, like, for work, or if you need to get groceries. Those are basically the only reasons that you are allowed to leave your house. And so you're not allowed to like congregate on the streets. You're not allowed to gather in groups. Everybody kind of has to keep that 6-foot distance from one another. And if the police see you doing anything to the contrary, it's a misdemeanor. Wow. So I think that it comes with a pretty hefty fine at the moment. And so that's kind of, I think, hopefully that's as far as it gets with any of this stuff, that people can kind of take that very seriously and realize, like, okay, the government's not messing around, and if they have to lock stuff down, they will. But I don't know if it'll get that bad here, but if people continue to ignore everything and do whatever they feel like, we might end up in that situation as well.
Yeah, but, especially in Vancouver, because we're one of the airports that's remaining open for international flights. And,
I mean, my dad is currently in Colorado. He went down there. Man, I haven't talked about this. I've barely even talked to you about it. He went down there because my grandpa, his dad, was not doing great. He was 90. I said it the other day. I told you the other day. How old was he? 94?
94?
I think 94. And my dad basically went down there to put things in order to deal with some affairs. What was it? Sunday. Saturday. It was Saturday night. Like it
Saturday
was Sunday
night to Sunday morning. So
12:45. Our time. He passed away. So my dad, again, there's never good timing for either of those things, for a global pandemic or for a parent to pass away, or a grandparent in my instance. But obviously those two things coinciding has not been has not been ideal. So my dad flies back tomorrow morning, hopefully, but it started snowing in Colorado today, in Aurora where he's at. So hopefully that doesn't affect his flight, and he can get out of there and back to us. But
so Grandpa Marvin was born in 1923.
Okay.
So he was 96.
Yeah, 96. Okay. Yeah. So it's been, man,
August 19.
2020 has not been kind to us thus far, but I'm really hoping that all of this clears up in time for Star Wars Celebration and our trip to Disneyland, as well as, I mean, like, we went into this year going like 2020 is going to be awesome because it's our 10-year anniversary this year. And we were planning on going to Disneyland, just the two of us, later this year, to celebrate our 10-year anniversary, because it's where we went for our honeymoon. So that might end up being a different trip, because we might end up shifting our August trip if Celebration gets canceled and things are still a little bit crazy. Providing, here's the one thing, providing we don't get coronavirus between now and then, right? If we get it before then all bets are off. If we have the antibodies, then we're going to Disneyland. Like, I don't care. Right? As long as it's open. I don't know. I'll talk to Matt. Maybe he can get us in anyway. So we're like, no, we're clean.
We'll
had
have
it.
Whites on.
Yeah,
He'll send us some whites, and
Yeah.
we can go in. Hopefully they make them in baby sizes.
Yeah, I'll clean. I'll sweep a little bit if it means I get to ride the Millennium Falcon with no weight. No, but yeah, like we have all this stuff planned, and it was going into the year. It was like, yeah, this is gonna be awesome. And then like Amanda is planning to come with us for Star Wars Celebration in Disneyland, which is super exciting and it's going to be fun.
Cara is so excited.
Yeah. But those plans might have to be adjusted. So, but honestly, that is probably, if that's our biggest worry in all of this right now, then we're pretty lucky. So, there's a lot of people in much worse situations than we are. And that's kind of what I'll say to everybody as we close out, is just remember, if you do have to go out, or if you're in a job where you have to be out working, and out in the world.
Thank you. First of all.
Thank you, first of all. But you don't know what people are dealing with back in their own personal lives, back at home, and the situations that they might be stuck in at the moment. It's just, everything is kind of just made worse because everybody's really on edge. Everybody's really stressed out, for good reason. And it's, it just, if there was ever a time to practice empathy and compassion, here it is right now. It's a little bit like, the world has been so full of anger and mistrust and left against right and all of that sort of thing for the last, I would say, decade. It's just gotten worse and worse and worse. This is almost like the world itself saying, like, hey, you guys all need to remember that everybody else is human too, and maybe treat each other with a little bit more compassion. I don't know. We'll see if that ends up being one of the effects. We're all stuck in our houses together. People actually have to get to know their families.
You have to get to know your families. You get to miss your friends and your colleagues.
Yeah.
But I think one great thing that has come of this is just how much online community there is for different things. There are people all over the states doing classes and things for kids, doing live crafts, doing live yoga.
Yeah.
I just found out our yoga studio put out a yoga at home app.
Mm-hmm.
So we get to do yoga from here.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of
There are
people
a lot
doing
of-
really good things and helping out right now. So that's that is the positive in a situation like this. I mean, it's, we talked about it. Joe and I talked about it a lot last night. It's kind of unprecedented. It's like, this is a formative thing, and it's gonna affect a lot of stuff going forward. But hopefully one of those things is that we kind of remember how it was when we all had to lock ourselves in our house for a month or so, and be a little bit more grateful for the freedom that we have on a daily basis, and not use it as a weapon. I hate it when in American politics freedom is thrown around as like a talking point, instead of it just being part of life. In the West here, like in Canada, North America, and the United States. But hopefully people just smarten up a little bit and remember what's actually important, and worry a little bit less about making money and what they have or don't have, and think about the people that are next to them. But we'll see. Cool. I guess that's it. That's it for this one. We'll be back again tomorrow night. I've got my friend Tyler James Nickel, who is a local comedian, entertainer. He's a burlesque host. He's but most importantly, just a fantastic, wonderful human being.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
Uncle Tyler should get a big hug. He will be much more interesting than I am.
It'll be a different kind of conversation, but this is one of the things is that I'm hoping that with bringing on different people, obviously Amanda and I have our rhythm and our sort of way of talking about things, and that's what a lot of you guys tune in for. But hopefully with this and bringing on different hosts and people that I don't normally podcast with, taking the opportunity of everybody being stuck at home to say, hey, let's connect, let's talk, and have a little conversation. We get to see kind of all sides of this, and connect with different people and see some different viewpoints, and that's always a good thing. So we'll be back again tomorrow night at 8:30 Pacific time with Tyler. Of course, this is a part of the Thunderquack Podcast Network, the Thunderquack Podcast Quarantine Zone, and you can head to thunderquack.com to check out all the other great podcasts in the network. And if you like what you heard, you can support us in two ways. You know what? There's nothing to plug because Crystal doesn't even have like any social media. Do you care? You don't want anybody following you on anything?
I'm so locked down on social media that if you even search me, you can't find me usually.
Yeah, so she's not
Sorry.
like me. She doesn't need the attention that I do. The constant affirmations from strangers.
Please don't follow me. It'd be better.
Yeah, but you guys know where to find me. Arkwolf on Twitter and Instagram, ARKWULF, and just look for Thunderquack. Search Thunderquack on those different platforms. If you like what you hear, you can support us in three ways. First, you can go and you can rate and review the podcast on the podcast service of your choice. In fact, I mean, like, hey, just download other types of podcast services. Like, if you don't use Spotify, go into Spotify and leave a rating and a recommendation over there, and then go into iTunes and do it, and then go over to Stitcher. No one's on Stitcher anymore. Don't worry about Stitcher. We get no downloads from Stitcher. But it seems like there's a new podcast service every day. So go leave a rating and a review so that people can find the podcast and we can grow the Thunderquack community and do even more cool, awesome things. And you can also support us by going to store.thunderquack.com and picking up some merchandise. Again, so much. We don't have so much free time. I feel like I have less free time the last couple days.
We have no free time. Yeah. We don't get to go to the bathroom.
Everybody who's like, oh man, I'm going to learn to play the guitar. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm like, cool. Good for you. My life is almost exactly the same, except that I'm a lot more tired right now. But if I can manage to find some time on a Thursday or a Friday to do some new designs or upload some of the existing Thunderquack designs. I'll get those up onto the store so you guys can buy some Thunderquack merch over at store.thunderquack.com. And of course, the best way to support us is by heading to patreon.com/Thunderquack and kicking in with your monthly pledge of support over there. And we appreciate everybody who does, particularly the two people in our audience tonight, Jason and Sherston, who have been longtime supporters. Jason, as a matter of fact, just upped his pledge this week to be a Patreon producer. So yeah, he'll get the proper shout out on the next episode of the Thunderquack podcast proper. But there's a little extra note for him right there. But yeah, thank you guys for supporting us. It's so awesome and it means a lot. And go look. I have a full-time job. It pays the bills. The Patreon stuff is awesome, but it's really, now that we're transitioning to Spreaker and everything, it's really just kind of going to pay for more equipment and some other cool opportunities. If you want to support somebody, I would say go find one of the other podcasts or YouTubers or whatever that you love, somebody who's actually doing this for a living right now, and go support them on their Patreons or subbing to people on Twitch or whatever you want to do. But also go and support your food banks and different charitable organizations that are going to help people right now, because I think that there's probably going to be a lot of people who need things like the food bank or thrift stores and stuff like that. So if you can afford to donate anything over in those areas, I would say definitely do that before you support us, because we're okay, we're fine.
And if you can, go donate blood.
Yeah. I heard a thing the other day. I think it was just an ad that said that I think it's donated blood only lasts
41 days. I think it is an ad. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I never considered that. I thought, you donate blood and then it goes into the thing and they'll use it when they need it. But I'm guessing they actually have to end up cycling out a lot of stuff that maybe doesn't necessarily get used. So if you have the ability right now, if you're healthy and able, definitely go and donate blood. Because I think we're going to end up needing stuff like that.
The blood banks will need it.
There are other things still happening in the world. There are still other people with other illnesses that still need treatments and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely go out and do that stuff, and take some time and put some good back out into the world. Cool. That is it for tonight's broadcast. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for those who are listening later, and we'll catch you on the next Quarantine Zone.
Good night.